The James Show Podcast.
Joe, Grapevine, you're on WBAP.
James, honor and privilege as always, my friend.
Thank you, Joe.
You just touched. My pleasure. You just touched on, James, what I think you need to dive into even deeper, and you're great about this. Whether it comes to voter, irregularities or the hypocrisy of the weaponization of the Democratic Party, you have been great on so many things like that. You just saw it all in there. You just touched on it. You just named a few things. I heard an interview, and I believe it was in Great Britain a day or two ago, and they were interviewing some Muslim men on the street. As you know, they have their Sharia courts, and they're allowed to do all this, where the police don't even go into that area and enforce law. They allow them to enforce their own law. They were interviewing a gentleman and just what they believe in, and the interviewer asked him, well, have you ever, do you think it's okay to rape women? And the young man said yes.
I know where you heard that. You heard that on the James Show, Joe. Hang on. Here.
Okay.
Do you rape girls?
Some of us, yeah, some of us.
Do you know how many times you've done that? How many times have you raped girls?
I did it maybe 2 or 3 times.
I did it once.
I did it 4 times. One of us pretends as if he's a nice guy. He wants to get her
and then they give you sort of the instructions on how to become your own little Fisher-Price, my first rapist. So, yeah, Joe, I think you probably heard that on the James Show.
Well, good. Then you need to keep repeating it because, unfortunately, don't be afraid and don't let them talk you down to continue to repeat it and say, oh, we already heard that. That's old news. No, it's not old news. This is a continuing ideology in the Muslim community and how they treat their women and how they stone to death their women that I think commit adultery. Instead, we just don't divorce them; they'll stone them to death.
Well, did you hear Did you hear the previous caller where I brought up sort of the Nazi question just to sort of prove an ideological point? Did you hear that part? Because
yes, it is.
we all agree that if Nazis had set up a table, no one would stand for that. There'd be an outcry. Why? Because that's a ugly ideology that doesn't really further the advancements of your civil rights, of your individual rights. In fact, the history of Nazism is filled with oppression and slaughter and death and, the killing of your own citizens. The Muslim history is not a whole lot better,
No, it's not. No, it's not, James. And you're good at that, my friend. Dive into it. Don't let them talk you down off it. Keep doing it because they can dress it. You can put, as Sarah Palin said, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, man.
I hear you. All right.
Can dress it up all they want.
Thank you very much. That's Joe in Grapevine. We move on to McKinney. This is Patricia in McKinney. Notice how when we do these school topics, we get a lot more moms calling in. What's up, Patricia?
I think that Tellerico does not understand the basic facts of Islam. Yes, there's lots of good people that don't mean anybody any harm, but to be a Muslim, they are sworn to carry out their colonization of the world, and that our values are the great Satan. Israel is the small Satan. People need to understand that, and that they are taught to lie to us and do whatever to take us over.
Well, listen, here's the problem with that, Patricia. You're making a very good religious argument, but for the people out there who are agnostic or atheist or non-religious, you have to come at it from a secular angle. You have to say, look, it's not, it's not the fact that they're religious that bothers us. It's the fact that everywhere people who follow that ideology, whether it's a religion or a political movement, or just take religion out of it, everywhere those people have taken over, natural rights have diminished, especially the rights of women have diminished. The rights of minorities have diminished. The rights of gays have diminished.
Amen.
And so it's not a religious thing. And it's the same reason I support Christianity and the church, even in a government setting. It's not because I am drawn by my Christian bigotry. I am a Christian, but I've also noticed that people who embrace the nations and the societies that embrace the principles that, our founding fathers wrote into the Constitution, they've tended to do better, and individual rights have tended to do better, and women have tended to do better, and minorities and gay people and all the people that the rainbow flag is supposedly trying to protect. They seem to do best under societies that follow my mores and traditions and values, and the ones that follow the hijab dog-hating people don't seem to fare as well when it comes to individual rights and your individual liberties. Yes.
Amen. You're right.
Okay. Well, I guess we just ended that. Thank you very much. today, I'm taking Jasmine Crockett's side. Usually we have a whole segment where, what the heck did Jasmine Crockett say this time? And
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body, Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tea.
But she's right. She's getting screwed on this one. The establishment, the powers that be, the elites in their ivory towers, they don't like her. And I'm not saying that should make you like her, but that should definitely make you more suspicious of James Tallarico than you are of her. You can tell the establishment came in and they made Colin Allred get out. They got Jasmine Crockett in. And even though she's polling ahead of them, they're thinking beyond the primary. Because here's what this says good about Jasmine Crockett. She can't be controlled. She's not, or she hasn't thus far been bought off. She's not part of the machine. And so, look, if you want to stretch, these muscles here, we're like, I'm not used to saying nice things about Team Blue here. Well, you need to start having some answer to the fact that, okay, I don't hate all Democrats and not all Democrats are crazy, because then there's something wrong with you. Half the country can't be crazy. But for most of the people that call themselves Democrats, they don't match what you see on CNN and they don't match what's in the halls of Congress. When they just passed the SAVE Act out of the House of Representatives, out of all the Democrats, 213 in the House of Representatives, only Henry Cuellar from Texas voted in favor of voter ID. Voter ID is something that is supported by more than 80% of Americans. More than 70% of Democrats support voter ID. So when you talk about the Democrats who aren't crazy, yeah, it's about 75% of them. We just hear from the small sliver, the 25% of them that are crazy, that are true believers, that are AOCs and Bernie Sanders. But there's a lot of people who are reasonable, and you would think that they would want to promote some of the less crazy ones. So who am I talking about? Well, Bill Maher's one. Bill Maher, lifelong liberal and Democrat, would never call himself a Republican, but he doesn't buy in the woke stuff, not all of it. He doesn't think men can have babies. Another good one, Mark Cuban. Guy who used to own the Mavericks and very well-known entity around here. He's a lifelong Democrat, still a Democrat, but he's not a avowed socialist. He's still a good old free market capitalist pig. That's a Democrat I could get behind. That's a Democrat I could support. That's one that's not a crazy person. Another one, Stephen A. Smith. Now, he is a sports broadcaster, but he has a lot of strong opinions, claims to be Democrat, but not a crazy one. He announced that he might run for president, and why not?
Did you run as a Democrat?
Yeah, because I couldn't see myself running as a member of the GOP. I'm a fiscal conservative. I can't stand high taxes, but I'm a social liberal. In the same breath, because I believe in living and let live. I pay attention to the desolate and the disenfranchised. Yes, I like strong borders. That's absolutely true. We never needed open borders, but we don't need it to be completely closed either. We're a gorgeous mosaic.
Sounds like you're getting a stump speech ready, Stephen.
No, there's no stump speech, but I can give it.
He's not a true believer. Stephen A. Smith is one of us. He's one of those that in 10, 20 years, he's going to convert. Jasmine Crockett might convert because Jasmine Crockett's not a strong ideologue. She's not a Bernie Sanders or an AOC. She doesn't call herself a socialist. She's not proposing universal everything. I don't know. I have more hope for her now than I did a week ago because now we know she's not in the machine. You suspected that last year when she told you that the machine and the donors had a conversation, had a conference call, and they're all getting behind Gavin Newsom and not her and not AOC and not Kamala Harris. She was kind of making a racial misogynistic angle about it. But what we can agree on is if the establishment doesn't like her, that's a positive. Chris in Fort Worth, you're on WBAP.
Hey, James, what's going on? I kind of disagree on the Jasmine Crockett take. I think that if she were to beat Tallarico's a smooth talker, and I think that the establishment thinks he's just more electable. If it was Crockett, she's a race baiter, and I think she would just fall right in line with the establishment and be just like most of that. Now, Stephen A., that kind of Democrat, I think he's very interesting. I don't think that I really don't think he's even a Democrat. I think he'd get too much backlash from people of color if he were to come out and say, I'm siding with the GOP.
Right. I kind of get that feeling too. Now, listen, Chris, the establishment, the people that fall in line with the establishment, I do not fear them because they have actually had a pretty good record of getting things done our way. Like, because I consider Bill Clinton one of those. He's not an ideologue. He's not a socialist. He's not a Bernie Sanders out there. He's not an AOC. He's a guy that will say whatever it takes to get in a position of power. And then he'll lie to your face about, marital infidelity or this bill that he vetoed or this program or what. He'll just lie to your face. The good part about that is if you do whatever it takes to stay in a position of power, then if a big wave comes at you, a big red wave called Newt Gingrich and the, what do they call that? The Declaration or the Contract with America in the 90s. And all of a sudden, everybody wants a balanced budget. He was willing to do that. He was willing to sign a balanced budget. Of course, he vetoed it a couple times before he found out he was going to be overridden. But we got things accomplished. The last time we got a balanced budget is when there was a non-ideological pawn of the machine as a Democrat president, not a Barack Obama. And of course, not a Republican since then either.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Clinton called himself a Democrat back in the day, but I think if he were president today, his ideals, I think he would not be in the Democratic Party. I think he'd probably be identify more as a Republican.
Who's that?
Clinton.
Well, I mean, he's still alive and he's still a Democrat.
Yeah, but if you look at his policies back in the day, they align more with what I call.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because he wasn't for welfare reform. He signed it and took credit for it after the fact, but he fought against that. He fought against the balanced budget. He fought against the deregulation and all kinds of things that led to the economic boom that he now takes credit for. But yeah, the things he was saying about immigration back then, hate speech now. The things that him and his wife were saying about gay marriage back then, hate speech now. So yeah, then in a way, you're absolutely right. This is Kelly in South Lake. Hey, Kelly.
How you doing, James? I'm going to take a different approach. I promise it's worth hearing. So Give me about a minute and a half. I've been practicing it, so give me a moment.
Okay.
These people are brilliant. These Democrats, they play the short game, the middle game, and the long game all at once. Number one, put Tellerico in there, okay, and give him an incentive to get that base riled up because they had a big sting here when President Trump had been elected. Number two, Jasmine's not that popular. Boy, oh boy, you get somebody feeling sorry for her. You get all these men beating up on her, white men beating up on her, and all of a sudden she's just got all this love and pittiness coming at her. Number two, or three or four, whichever I'm in. Number three, the black women consensus supported Trump. Remember all the videos? We love Trump. We're voting for Trump. We're moving away from the plantation, all this stuff.
The black woman consensus, they voted 92%.
Here's my thought.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Before please.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What better way to move them back towards the Democratic Party than getting somebody of their own moving it back? Jasmine ain't going nowhere. She's very much part of the machine. She may not be taking a seat at this moment, but she knows in 2 to 4 years coming up, because we're basically in a mini midterm at this very moment.
Yeah.
Those people who ever get in front of our votes for midterm, if we don't win it on the red side, I'll just say that. Let's just say pro-nation. I don't even like the word Democrat and Republican any longer, to be honest, but let's just say pro-nation. That is going to be a whole bucket of mess when we go right back into lawfare and try to get him out of office, all this craziness. I'm telling you, they are playing the long game. Get Crockett installed, get her popular again, pull the women vote away from Trump or the Republican Party, and get Tellerico to rile up everybody and make it look that way. I'm telling you, this is a trick play. Last thing, remember when Musk and Trump were doing their trick play? Oh, they hate each other and all this other stuff? Same thing, and now we know that was a trick play. They even laughed about it. This is that same type of trick play. These people will do it right in front of us in a clever, subtle way. That's my point. Thank you for being a sweetie and let me say it.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but Kelly, in your worldview, does the Democrat establishment, the real party power brokers on Team Blue, do you think they really want Tallarico to win this primary, or do they really want Jasmine Crockett to win?
Great question. Yeah, they don't care which one, because each one will follow whatever they say. Once they're in office, it don't matter who's the one carrying the water. They know that either one will carry that water. Both of them are part of the machine.
Look at that. All right. Well, good answer. Thank you very much. This is Kelly in South Lake. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I want to hear all the theories. All theories are welcome. That's not a bad one. Michael in Dallas, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
I think that there are no good Democrats in the political establishment. They all carry each other's water, like the prior caller said. We just need to defeat them at the ballot box and in the world of ideas. That's our only hope. The only reasonable Democrat I can think of who's not in the establishment now is Harold Ford Jr. on the 5. He's the only one that ever sounds reasonable. All the others just fall in line and vote with Schumer.
Well, what about the examples I was given earlier in the hour? What about Mark Cuban? Doesn't he sound reasonable?
No, because he's got Trump derangement syndrome, so he's not reasonable.
You know, see, the problem with Mark Cuban and Trump is he had a pre-existing animus for Donald Trump before Donald Trump was even a political animal, when Donald Trump was still a Democrat. When I was on a show back in, and you mind if I just do story time real quick? It was way back in 2002. I think it was 2003. I was still working on my first TV radio show, and we used to do speed dating. And so they sat, James down, because I was like a 25, 26-year-old producer. And I actually had the microphone, and I was recording my interactions with the ladies at speed dating because I was single at the time. And my segment got bumped because Mark Cuban called in, and Mark Cuban ended up telling this story about when he first cashed out from broadcast.com, and he and his buddy that they started the tech startup with, they split $6 billion. And so Mark Cuban had something to the order of $3.1 billion in straight up cash, just chilling in the bank, which at the time, Donald Trump's net worth was maybe half of that, and he definitely didn't have it all in cash. I mean, most of that's just tied up in the property value of his buildings. And so Mark Cuban, while he's still young and while he's still new to the scene, goes to some party at the top of Trump Tower where on the roof was a very exclusive party that only super rich and accomplished and well-known people could get into. But then in the penthouse, which is a building on top of a building, there was another more exclusive party on top of that, which was just a handful of people who were pretty much Trump's close friends. Now, Mark Cuban was introduced to Trump at the party on the roof, not the super exclusive party, but the half exclusive party. And it's like, oh, yeah, I heard about your success. And, maybe one day you'll be rich enough to make it up there. And he pointed to the big party. And Mark Cuban said, well, at the time I was worth more than he is. And so there's been sort of this clash of the alpha males where, two big bucks during rutting season butted heads, and since then their antlers have been stuck together. Trump's always bagging on Mark Cuban, and Mark Cuban's always bagging on Trump. But other than that, because there's a human element of distaste in there, you don't think Mark Cuban's one of the more reasonable Democrats? I mean, isn't he better than a Bernie Sanders?
Well, yeah, there's the spectrum of craziness, and Bernie's on the far end along with AOC, who doesn't know where Venezuela is, but I just assume defeat all of them because they get back into power and all they're going to do is put in all the green stuff back and all the other taxes back. They just have to be defeated. We have to beat them with ideas.
Well, it's hard to get enthusiastic to get me to go support the Republicans, because are the Republicans repealing Obamacare now? Are they repealing all the subsidies for wind farms and solar farms? Are they rolling back?
What if they could get 60 votes in the Senate?
Are they even trying? Are they even trying to repeal Obamacare? Is there even a bill out there?
Well, why should they try? They can't get 60 votes, so it's a fool's errand. They got to do what they can get through. They can get through on executive orders.
Look, the whole point of trying is you put on a full court press to where everyone gets riled up, and you pressure those people into getting it done. They didn't have 60 votes to get Obamacare passed when they started. They just shamed and cowed and pressured people and twisted arms and bought them off and threw some money around and made it happen. We're not even trying to undo it.
The James Show Podcast.